In the words of Lincoln Barnett, the quick harvest of applied science is the usable process, the medicine, the machine, the shy fruit of pure science is understanding. A productive and warm morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all at the International Conference on Recent Trends in Applied Sciences, ICRAAS 2022, organized by Department of Chemistry in association with World Researchers Association WRA. To say we are all thrilled to see you all join in for this need of the hour discussion would be an understatement. Here's a hearty welcome, big and warm to encompass you all. Albert Einstein once quoted, "Why does this magnificent applied science, which saves work and makes life easier, bring us so little happiness?" The simple answer runs, because we have not yet learned to make sensible use of it. Let me take you all through a quick voyage of this galaxy of institute that Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be University Mulana is. Accredited by NAC as Grade A++ University, MMDU has built its goodwill as the best university of North India with a rich legacy of excellence in research, innovation, and skill development. MMDU incorporates the best of both the worlds by presenting a synergy of curricula, both from the UGC model of education and the leading schools from around the world. Quality education is always research oriented and exposure driven, which is what makes MMGU the leader in cross country studies in every possible field. We are blessed beyond measure to have with us our honorable keynote speakers, Professor Sushil Mittal, Professor Naveen Singhal, Professor Eric, Professor Anil Kumar Sharma, Dr. Kiran B, Dr. Deepak Pathania, MMDU heads Professor Bhavna Parikh, Professor Ashok Kumar Arora, Professor Harish Kumar Sharma, all our respected program coordinators, faculty members, and all associated with MMDU family, and a special gratitude for the idea brewer, a philanthropist, a visionary who has been striving for such enlightening causes and bringing such discussions to reality, Shri Tarsem Garg ji, Chancellor MMDU Mulana. We are all indeed privileged to have you all come together and join hands for this insightful topic and spread the word among the masses on recent advances in applied sciences and research. Lighting of the lamp is the sacrosanct way of beginning any auspicious occasion. Light stands for prosperity and abundance, symbolizing knowledge and eradication of the darkness of ignorance. Let us begin this occasion with the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. May we invite all the respected dignitaries to proceed with the same. May I request all the dignitaries to please proceed with the same? Can we have them on the screen, please? We will have the lighting of the lamp in another 2 minutes or so. Meanwhile, can we have a video played, please?
पापा ये थोड़ा मेरी तरफ से।
ओ बेटा बाप को पैसे दे रहा है।
अरे नहीं पापा, इट्स जस्ट अ थैंक्स।
किस बात का?
वो आपने कहा था ना, कहाँ पढ़ना है वो फैसला बड़ा होता है। जिंदगी के 4 साल का सवाल नहीं, सवाल पूरी जिंदगी का है।
Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be University Mulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Diversity. As I understand diversity, it's a combination of the world.
Diversity is a part of nature. The trees are diverse, the birds are diverse, so us as people are diverse as well.
There's different religions, different cultures, different people from different continents, countries. It's just beautiful just coming here to see people just showing love and harmony and coming together at the same time.
So here we have the opportunity to meet unique people from unique countries and from all over the world.
If I could get a blank canvas, I just want to fill it with all of colors, not just only one colors. And diversity, it's a natural thing, and my university believes in it.
That's what my university stands for. Diversity is a culture in my university.
Maharishi Markandeshwar deems to be university. Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
College life is full of so many things, but hope for a beautiful future is the most dominant feeling. But it's not so easy.
For a small town boy, there are a lot of challenges. I'm not complaining about them, but you have to overcome them.
I'm from Nepal. As we know, nothing is easy, but as a student in a very different country, it's even more challenging. You have to meet new people, adjust to the environment and focus on your study. Trust me, it's not easy.
I can never thank my mentors, my teachers, my friends, and this campus ever for whatever they gave me.
Yes, from the outside, it may come down to a good job, but that journey with your friends, in your campus, with your mentors, that really counts. That defines your personality. And it's so right. After all, it's not about a few years. It's about your whole life.
We at MMDU do a 360 kind of transformation for the students. Right from their aptitude training, personality development, corporate interaction, industrial visits, and we make them industry ready in the sense so that they can be placed in companies like PwC, Deloitte and many more.
One day you realize you are about to touch your aspiration.
It is not about just 4 or 5 years of my whole life, but 40 to 50 years of investment that happened just because of the campus that did to me.
As they say, it doesn't matter from where you start, it's all that matters is where you live and pursue your dreams.
We don't prepare you for a job. We train you, your personality, your skills for life.
Maharishi Markandeshwar deems to be university. Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
What does it mean to prepare for the real world? It is about preparing you to dream freely, to create, to choose, to be more creative, to learn, to know your skills.
Have you ever wondered how much one can embrace within themselves? Is it inbuilt or does it come with practice? I always had this question in mind, but after coming to this place, I found the answers to all my questions.
We prepare you to seek, explore, ask more questions and challenge yourself.
You might have the potential, but you need to train it, practice it. You need the right guidance and infrastructure to nurture your potential. And that's what MMDU is all about. I'm ready for the real world. Are you?
Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be university. Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Wasn't that amazing? Preparing you for the better world. I think what better than that? So let us now talk about lighting of the lamp and proceed with the ceremony. Lighting of the lamp is the sacrosanct way of beginning any auspicious occasion. Light stands for prosperity and abundance, symbolizing knowledge and eradication of the darkness of ignorance. Let us begin with this occasion with the ceremonial lightening of the lamp. May we invite all the respected dignitaries to proceed with the same. Can we have them on the screen, please? May I request the backend team to get them on the screen, please? Meanwhile, can I get the users and the audiences who've joined us live and who are hearing us from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook or Twitter handles? Can I get to know from you what exactly, according to you, is science? Is it a boon or a bane? Do you think science is something that is making our lives easier? Or do you think it is probably getting us into even more trouble? I mean, life way back was pretty easy, right? When there were no discoveries, everybody lived a carefree life. Now that we know about things too much, probably the worries have increased, but at the same time, so have the comforts. So, what, according to you, is science? Is it a boon or a bane?
I must thank the college for providing us with the latest edition of all the books in their world-class library.
To sum up my experiences in this college, I haven't regretted a single day in this college, which strengthens my belief.
Flexible schedules made it easier for our students to enjoy academics along with the extracurricular activities.
Final year will be filled up with lots of experiences and support from the college mates and college faculty. I'm truly very happy to be a part of MMIPR, an Institute of Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation.
Maharishi Markandeshwar Teams to Be University, Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
My study experience at MMDU had been filled with a lot of opportunities.
My college has always inspired me to participate in various competitions and industrial-oriented programs,
such as moot courts, seminars, client counselings, and multiplied with diversified internships.
It has given me the opportunity to work on my communication skills, to work on my presentation skills.
It had helped me to attain required legal professional skills to face the world of tomorrow.
Maharishi Markandeshwar Teams to Be University, Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Technology is a key word in our lives today. The impact of technology in our lives is huge. And if we look carefully, our lives are now designed around it.
This university also provides us with the IoT industrial trainings. The labs are highly equipped with IoT platforms.
Not only they have groomed my skills that were with me, but also have provided me with the practical knowledge that was needed tomorrow. They provided me with a platform to showcase my skills that I have. And the platform I'm talking is not just any ordinary, but national and international.
One of the major strengths of this institute is that we always believe in skill development rather than going purely for theoretical aspects of the subjects.
Technology is present and future. understanding this power and impact, we are producing future generations trained to understand, apply, and capacity to evolve technology, to put it for the betterment of life and universe.
My name is Arsh and I'm ready for the real world.
Myself Dev and I am ready for the real world.
With Center of Excellence Labs here, I am ready for the world tomorrow.
Maharishi Markandeshwar teams to be university. Mulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Real world is difficult. Real world is complex. There are so many challenges.
And we are preparing our students in such a way that they can compete with the various big institutions like IIMs.
If you are trained with theoretical bent of mind, it is really difficult to get success in real life. So here, MMIM trained you well.
They are preparing us for our better future. They are arranging the personality development classes for us.
When I started taking my classes, because of the teachers and the personality development coaches and the support of university, I was able to overcome my fears.
The moment I stepped into this college, I felt a sense of joy and honor.
MMIM has been supportive with internships and placements.
You sit in a classroom, seminar hall, or a library to know, to add to what you already know and become a better version of yourself. At MMDU, it's not about who you are, it's about what you can become.
I am ready for the real world.
I'm ready for the real world.
I am ready for the real world.
I am ready for the real world.
I am ready for the real world.
Maharishi Markandeshwar teams to be university. Mulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
A smile is a makeup that never fades away. And let me guess who makes them? A dental surgeon.
Hi, I'm Deepthi and I'm pursuing my BDS from this renowned university. MMU is a guide map to many national and international students which leads them to their destination named as success.
It's a place where you basically expertise in your area of interest mainly by focusing on theories, but MMU focuses on both practicals as well as theories.
The core aspiration of College of Dental Sciences and Research is not only to produce a good dentist but also a good citizen by adopting a moral and ethical values in their daily life as well as in profession.
MMCDSR comes in the top 25 dental colleges all over India, and I'm very proud to be a part of this stupendous college.
I'm glad I chose MMU as my university as it provides plenty of opportunities in all walks of life.
Maharishi Markandeshwar teams to be university. Mulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Let us now take a quick tour behind the why of this conference. The International Conference on Recent Advances in Applied Sciences, ICRAAS 2022, which is scheduled to take place today and tomorrow, is in online mode, will be focusing on establishing the associations for effective future inclinations with engineering, applied sciences, technology, and management. The international conference has been specifically designed with the intention of delivering outstanding outcomes and research challenges in the applied sciences and associated fields. It intends to bring the researchers, scientists, technocrats, and scholars at one platform for the propagation of original research, new collaborations, new approaches, and developmental practices. Conference objectives. The main objectives of ICRAAS 2022 is to encourage scientific exercises for the benefit of participants and minimizing the hurdles of experimental research. One of the goals of ICRAAS 2022 is to give specialists a world class stage to disseminate research findings by using innovative means of poster and oral presentations. This will be a tremendous benefit to young researchers and scholars participating in the event. The ICRAAS 2022 is aimed to be one of the most comprehensive professional conferences of its kind in the world. It has been specifically designed to present technical and other assistance to intensify research and developmental enterprises by proclaiming high quality research findings as well as research papers and articles. The aim and the scope: the researchers, academicians, scientists, scholars are invited to contribute their research papers, short communications, review papers in the field of research associated in the following themes. So I'm repeating the theme for the conference: chemical sciences, inorganic, organic, physical, analytical, instrumental, biochemical, pharmaceutical, and industrial; environmental sciences, agricultural sciences, soil sciences, biosciences, chemical engineering, civil engineering, and environmental engineering; industries including plastics, drugs, pesticides, polymers, textiles, dyes, paper, steel, metals, food, paints, rubber, fertilizers, leather, cement, sugar, distilleries, explosive oils, petroleum, petrochemical, fragrances, etc. Environment and energy, air, water, and noise pollution in industries, land, cities, rivers, lakes, etc. Talking about the Department of Chemistry, so I would like to share about the backbone of this conference, that is the Department of Chemistry in MMEC, which is well reckoned for highly experienced and qualified faculty who focus on exposure driven and quality education that makes students experts in their forte right from the very start. The Department of Chemistry came into existence in the year 2007 to provide skill based quality education. Numerous special sessions, industry meets, conferences, lectures, and expert talks are organized by the department every year for the holistic growth of the students. The department is committed to cultivate creative and innovative research in various fields of chemical sciences. Department currently offers BSc Medical Non-Medical Honors, MSc Chemistry Inorganic, Organic, Physical, and PhD programs. Let us see another quick video and then we will proceed towards the ceremony.
What does it mean to prepare for the real world? It is about preparing you to dream freely, to create, to choose, to be more creative, to learn, to know your skills.
Have you ever wondered how much one can embrace within themselves? Is it inbuilt or does it come with practice? I always had this question in mind, but after coming to this place, I found the answers to all my questions.
We prepare you to seek, explore, ask more questions and challenge yourself.
You might have the potential, but you need to train it, practice it. You need the right guidance and infrastructure to nurture your potential. And that's what MMDU is all about. I'm ready for the real world. Are you?
Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be university. Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Real world is difficult. Real world is complex. There are so many challenges.
And we are preparing our students in such a way that they can compete with the various big institutions like IIMs.
If you are trained with theoretical bent of mind, it is really difficult to get success in real life. So here, MMIM trained you well.
They are preparing us for our better future. They are arranging the personality development classes for us.
When I started taking my classes, because of the teachers and the personality development coaches and the support of university, I was able to overcome my fears.
The moment I stepped into this college, I felt a sense of joy and honor.
MMIM has been supportive with internships and placements.
You sit in a classroom, seminar hall, or a library to know, to add to what you already know and become a better version of yourself. At MMDU, it's not about who you are, it's about what you can become.
I am ready for the real world.
I'm ready for the real world.
I am ready for the real world.
I am ready for the real world.
I am ready for the real world.
Maharishi Markandeshwar Teams to be University, Mulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
College life is full of so many things, but hope for a beautiful future is the most dominant feeling. But it's not so easy.
For a small town boy, there are a lot of challenges. I'm not complaining about them, but you have to overcome them.
I'm from Nepal. As we know, nothing is easy, but as a student in a very different country, it's even more challenging. You have to meet new people, adjust to the environment and focus on your study. Trust me, it's not easy.
I can never thank my mentors, my teachers, my friends, and this campus ever for whatever.
Lighting of the lamp is the sacrosanct way of beginning any auspicious occasion. Light stands for prosperity and abundance, symbolizing knowledge and eradication of the darkness of ignorance. Let us begin this occasion with the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. May we invite all the respected dignitaries to proceed with the same.
हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। तू स्वर की देवी है, संगीत तुझसे, हर शब्द तेरा है, हर गीत तुझसे। तू स्वर की देवी है, संगीत तुझसे, हर शब्द तेरा है, हर गीत तुझसे। हम हैं अकेले, हम हैं अधूरे, तेरी शरण में हमें प्यार दे माँ। हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। मुनियों ने समझी है, गुनियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा, पुराणों की बानी। मुनियों ने समझी है, गुनियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा, पुराणों की बानी। हम भी तो समझे, हम भी तो जाने, विद्या का हमको अधिकार दे माँ। हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे। तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे, अज्ञानता के मिटा दे अंधेरे, उजालों का हमको संसार दे माँ। हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ।
I think that was beautiful. Thank you so much, sirs and ma'ams. Moving forward, I take this opportunity to formally introduce Professor Bhavna Parikh. Professor Dr. Bhavna Parikh is a seasoned academician and administrator in the field of higher education, having more than 21 plus years of rich experience. Dr. Parikh has more than 12 years of administrative experience in the capacity of principal, additional director, director, and director principal in various institutes of repute. Ma'am has filed patents and has more than 40 research publications in international and national journals and conferences of repute. I now request ma'am to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, please. Research publications in international and national journals and conferences of repute. I now request ma'am to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am.
Good morning all. A very good morning to all dignitaries, faculty members, students of Maharishi Markandeeshwar University, Mulana, and from various other universities and colleges, distinguished speakers, eminent guests, delegates, all participants, industry personnel, ladies and gentlemen. I, Professor Bhavna Parikh, HOD Department of Chemistry, would like to accord a warm and cordial welcome to all on this auspicious and memorable occasion of 2 days International Conference on Research Advancement in Applied Sciences, organized in the Department of Chemistry at Maharishi Markandeeshwar University. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for all of us to have our modest Professor Sushil Mittal, Professor Eric Van, Dr. Kiran, Dr. S.K. Ashok Kumar, Dr. Dipankar Saha, and Professor Vijay Kumar Thakur, a scholar and administrator of eminence. It is a matter of pride for all of us that we have eminent guests, today guests from numerous universities globally, who have spared their valuable time to this auspicious occasion and have made this wide work by their profuse presence. I would like to express my profuse thanks to Professor Dr. Harish Sharma, Vice Chancellor, Maharishi Markandeeshwar Dean University, Mulana, for his benign presence. I would also warm welcome Director Dr. Ashok Arora and HOD of respective department and associated of MMDU family. I also extend a warm welcome to all participants who have joined to attend this event. We hope that this gathering would provide a platform to share knowledge and expertise and critical review of the current issues of latest development in applied sciences. The seminar is being organized to sensitize and stimulate the young minds about the significance of recent trends in the field of the chemistry. It aims in providing wealth of knowledge and great insight in this field. Life as a teacher begins the day you realize that you will be always be a learner, because the ones who dare to teach must never cease to learn. Therefore, the essence of the program is to widen your area. You learn much more about latest technique and discoveries. As we enter the second decade of the 21st century, research in molecular biology, bioinformatics, and applied sciences in realizing therapies. Today, we are moving from the experimental world of yesterday towards the data-driven area of tomorrow. To cope up with the scenario of rapid transition and latest innovative advancement, the theme of this event has been designed. Let us join together and discuss the current approaches in the drug discovery and development, challenges in research, innovation in the field of the life sciences. Now, it is advances in science emerge as a basic and latest tool for all kinds of technical research, education, and allied subjective collaborative work among various leading branches of the sciences. chemistry play a key and vital role for all basic branches of science. Day by day, various technique and instrumentation encompassing innovation are rapidly emerging in the field of science and technology. Modern sophisticated instrumentation technique play a very key and reliable role for the characterization, structure, determination, identification of new molecules. On the basis of these inventor researchers can modify objects according to the need of the industry. So let's just introduce about the ICRAAS 2022 in collaboration with the Research Journal of the Chemistry and Environment, that is Focus Index. We will running 10 tracks simultaneously for 2 days, in which we will be addressed by the senior session chair by the reputed institute. It would be really very exciting to bring all the scientists working in different areas at a common platform to discuss the various advancements in the field of chemistry. I hope that by the end of the day, the program would be more enlightening and knowledgeable. I, on the behalf of the Maharishi Markandeeshwar Trust and entire of MLD University, Mulana, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to all of you for taking time out of their busy schedule and to be part of this event. We are greatly encouraged with your gracious presence, and I am sure all of us will be immensely benefited by your knowledge sharing in this international conference. I wish all of you happy, knowledgeable stay with us for next 2 days and wish this conference a grand success. So, with the once again, I formally welcome you all up to this occasion of international conference. Thank you.
I think that was just so amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a hearty welcome. I now take this opportunity to introduce Professor Ashok Kumar, Director of Engineering College, Maharishi Markandeshwar, deemed to be University Mulana. Dr. Arora holds 44 plus years of teaching and research experience in the field of electrical engineering, as well as administrative experience of 31 years as Director Dean of various engineering colleges and universities. Sir has guided 12 PhD scholars and 32 MTech students and has published 125 research papers in reputed journals and conferences. I now request Sir to deliver his address. Sir, please. May I request the backend team to get Sir added on screen, please? I think there is a technical glitch and we couldn't get Sir added on screen. So maybe we'll wait for another 1 minute and we will have Sir deliver his address. Meanwhile, my question still remains, is science a boon or a bane? I would love your comments on that. I think this is something which has two extremes, just like the North and the South Pole. When science has actually made our lives easier, some say it has not really made it easier, it has made it worrisome. With more and more inventions, probably you start relating that everything that is happening in the world is related to you, right? So I think, especially during COVID, any basic symptom that you would observe, we would go to the internet, explore whatever the symptoms are, and we would probably declare ourselves that probably I'm, facing this disease, or I'm suffering from this disease. Everybody became a self doctor for that matter. So, what do you think? Science is a boon or a bane? Can I hear the audiences write in the comment section? So we will have Professor Ashok added back to the screen, and I would request sir to deliver his address. Sir, please.
Dr. Bhavna, the HOD of the chemistry department, that in this conference, the papers relating to the various aspects of sciences and engineering, whether that is biotechnology or thermodynamics or environmental sciences, they are being presented. I am very sure that the contribution by the different authors, which are not only from MMDU, but they are from the very far away places. This conference is being organized online. And so there are specific challenges also. How to coordinate, how to make the sessions to be live one. That will be a challenge for the 2 days, and I am very sure that the team must have prepared accordingly. Now, one request I will make to the organizer is that every paper which is being presented by an author has a different dimensions. So possibilities of putting up the questions by the audience must be in order, and all those questions must be forwarded to the person who is presenting his paper, so that an answer to all the questions which are raised is given in due course of time by the author. That will be a very interactive and useful exercise, and I am very sure that you must have learned it accordingly. So, and later on, definitely, this is not when I do remember that the Department of Chemistry in 2016 also collected one beautiful conference, and I am very sure that this conference will be a success. Once again, I congratulate the Department of Chemistry in specific, as well as the team, that they will be putting all efforts so that this conference is successful. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. We are all blessed to have your presence. I now take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Harish Kumar Sharma, currently serving as Vice Chancellor of Maharishi Markandeshwar Deemed to be University Mulana Ambala. Dr. Sharma holds over 27 years of teaching, research, and administrative experience. Sir has close to 70 scientific publications to his credit, with the Scopus H Index 12, Google Scholar I-10 Index 13, and RG Score ResearchGate of 26.60. He has already guided 5 students to PhD and has filed 2 patents. Recently, one of the patents has been granted by the Patent Office, Government of India. He also has 2 copyrights to his credit. I now request Sir to deliver the inaugural address. Sir, please.
Okay. So, respected Professor Ashok Arora ji, the principal of Engineering College, of various institutions, the directors, principals, the participants of this conference, faculty and staff members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning from my side. It is indeed a matter of pleasure for me to be a part of the inauguration of this, to hold this international conference. On that day itself, we discussed the possibility of having the collaboration with some Scopus Index journal can be published uh, in a Scopus Index journal. I will talk about the importance of this Scopus a little later. I'm really happy that Department of Chemistry has been able to sign MOU with Research Journal of Chemistry and Environment. The man behind this journal, Dr. Shankar, he himself is a man. So if you just see that on internet, you can feel how passionately he has been pursuing the cause of environment. And we are happy that we will get an opportunity to listen to him also during the valedictory session. I'm really happy that the organizers have been able to rope in some of very renowned professionals, the scientists from the whole team for their sincere efforts. And I think they deserve a round of applause for that. I was talking about the importance of Scopus Index Journal and the Scopus Index publication. About 15 years back, many few people actually used to talk about Scopus. At that time, having an international publication in itself was considered to be a very good achievement. And I know the people were throwing parties when they used to have an international publication. Even till 2000, we used to get the prints of the publications by post from Japan, from US, and it was considered to be a good achievement that we have got our publication in a renowned international journal. But now the things have changed, and I have seen with my experience this change in the approach of the regulating councils as well as the accreditation agencies also. Even till 2000, the year which I was mentioning, the normal question which was asked from these regulating councils or accreditation agencies was how many publications a person or institute has. And then there was how many of them are national and how many of them are international. And over a period of time, the questions have changed. They started asking about the indexing of the journal, more specifically Scopus indexed, Web of Sciences indexed, and then PubMed. And then they started talking about the impact factor of the journal, and then the H index of the university, the H index of the individual. And recently talking about the site score as well. And I'm sure that very soon you will be hearing about the questions that how much you have earned out of your research. The same thing is happening in US, the European universities, the known from the fact that how much they have earned from their research. So now it is imperative to put your research firstly for patenting, and same are the questions now asked in the various questionnaires also, that how many patents have been filed. Till date, they are asking about how many of them have been uh, published, and how many of them have been its highest grade, that was A++. The criteria 3 in NAC itself is dedicated to the research, consultancy, and extension, and about 100 marks you see are only for the research output. The questions which they are focusing on are the number of publications per faculty, and then the number of citations per publication. I think more or less the same questions are asked by NIRF also, and QS as well, the weightage also being in the range of say 20% to 30%. So my advice at this stage will be that each of the faculty member should contribute in an institution, and more importantly, the work which they do, they have to be very selective while communicating their work. We have been in fact discussing in our departmental or the meetings at the university level also, that if you don't publish your work in the right uh, place. So I'm really happy to note that we have a good number of research scholars and the communication part and the confidence, which are very important in their future. Just put a word of caution that in this word of technology, when the information is available very easily, you have to be very watchful about the plagiarism part also. The regulating councils or the whole world, I should say, the academics are very sensitive about the plagiarism. So whatever you do, it needs to be your original work. It has given us a new way of holding the conferences. Earlier, the conferences were nobody could have actually thought about these online conferences at that time. But now we have an online conference which is being organized. There are people joining from various parts of the world. You, while sitting uh, in the comfort of your office or at home or anywhere, you are able to be a part of that conference. That is the advantage. But again, technology, it has its own limitations also. So it can be a long discussion that way. But on the whole, the science, it has contributed a lot to the world. It is for us that how do we use it, and how it is ultimately uh, put into use. I just remember uh, the story of Alfred Nobel, uh, whose name, after whose name you get the Nobel Prizes. Uh, on one day, he just was reading the Merchant of is no more, and in fact, uh, they were mentioning about Nobel. But unfortunately, it was uh, a different person who had died on that day. He was into with his whole research. He had earned so much of money, and the whole of the money he had put into uh, developing the weapons and arms. So he then took out a part of his earnings and developed this noble fund. And out of that endowment, now the people are getting the Nobel Prizes. So my point was that it is the maybe a day of realization when people actually come to know that whatever they have been contributing, whether it is actually serving the purpose which they are intending. So with that remark, I would just again take this opportunity to congratulate the team of organizers, and I wish this conference grand success, and my best wishes to all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. Sir, with your permission, we would like to officially release the souvenir and declare the ICRAAS 2022 open. Sir, can we have your permission, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Can we have the visual display of the souvenir, please? We will soon be able to see the visual display of the souvenir, so I would request each one of you to stay tuned. I think it was lovely to read the messages of all our dignitaries about the conference. Now, let us now collect the fruits of knowledge from our very own eminent speaker one and the preceding session chair who have joined us today and made time from their packed schedules and have kindly consented to preside over this discussion. Let me quickly introduce you all with our dignitaries of discussion one. The keynote speaker for this session is Professor Sushil Mittal, Vice Chancellor at Sardar Beyant Singh University, Gurdaspur, Punjab, India. Professor Mittal is a senior academician with an experience of more than 30 years. He has served as the Deputy Director of Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala, Punjab. He's also worked as the Chartered Chemist and Fellow Royal Society of Chemistry, FRSC UK, in the year 2017. He is the advisory board member of several journals. His research interest includes analytical and environmental chemistry. He has completed 12 research projects sponsored by UGC, EST, AICTE, BRNS, DRDO, ICMR, MOES, RA Engineering UK goal funded projects. He has supervised several UG, PG, and PhD scholars and has more than 130 publications with H index of 23 and I-10 index of 41. The session chair for this session is Professor Naveen Singhal, professor at the Department of Chemistry, DIT University, Dehradun, also serving as the Dean Alumni Relations. Chief Proctor, Coordinator of NSS and NCC at state level. He has also worked as the head of chemistry department and controller of examination. Professor Singhal is involved in the establishment of R&D activities and new courses in the chemistry department and currently in charge of LAW, a center of excellence in the university. His research interests includes environmental chemistry, petroleum chemistry, polymers, and medicinal chemistry. He has guided several research students and published a number of research papers in the reputed international journal. Let us now hear Professor Sushil Mittal. Over to you, sir.
Okay, I found this on the web for interest.
Professor Sushil Mittal, I hand over the proceedings to you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mahima, for your nice introduction. And I am very feeling highly privileged to be a part of this international conference. And when Dr. Narinkar approached me, then I was so excited to join it and accepted the invitation in no time. Although there is a little change in my schedule, I was to be at Gurdaspur at this moment, but I have to travel it to Delhi right now. So maybe in between there may be some interruptions due to signal changing, but we have to bear with it, and I'll try to come to the point as quickly as possible. And now let me share this presentation screen. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet, sir.
StreamYard is sharing the screen. Uh, I am seeing that it is being shared.
So I'll just confirm it with the backend team. I'll just need, yes. So we can see your screen
Yes,
now.
yes, yes. Dr. Mittal, it will be available within 2 minutes. Yes, it is available now on the screen.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, fine. Let me come to the
It
screen.
is, uh, the screen should be not is not clear on the front.
So I think you've opened multiple tabs, so you'll have to cancel all of these and just open the presentation. I mean, the slide where you have the presentation visible.
Yes. कहाँ पहुंच गया मैं?
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Is it fine?
Yes, we can see the
Yeah.
introduction slide. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all and make a presentation on my work. As Mahima told that I have an interest in the area of analytical chemistry and environmental chemistry, but I have chosen this topic for today's presentation on analytical chemistry. And majorly, I have been working in the area of voltammetric sensors, and we have developed a number of sensors, and this technique being so good and so responding fast that I was very satisfied with the performance of this technique. So I carried on. Earlier, I used to work on potentiometry. There also, we have done a lot of work, but making a presentation on voltammetric work. So this is about the cyanide detection. And first of all, for the audience who are not aware of this chemical sensor term, let me say a few words about it. That it is a device that transforms chemical information like composition, presence of a particular element or ion, concentration, etc., into an analytically useful signal. This is very important to understand that whenever there is a chemical interaction like a chemical molecule coming in contact with the target species, then there is a change in the properties of that receptor molecule. Like it undergoes a change in its optical properties, it undergoes a change in its electrical properties, it undergoes a change in its mass properties, and so many other changes are there. But these changes are so small that they are very difficult to follow. So the beauty of chemical sensing technique is that uh, we have been following that change in the property of that molecule, and that too quantitatively. So for doing all this, we have got a lot of support from electronics engineers as well, who could develop this potentiostats, potentiometers, and so other techniques, optical instruments. So our work is in fact a combination of the development of chemistry as well as electronics. So focus will be on chemistry component, that you can see in the first slide that there is recognition of molecules. So the molecules are out of a number of different molecules, like in red or in pink or green, our receptor, which is pasted on the surface of the detector, is recognizing molecules. So that is the beauty of this work, that it is so selective that it attracts only those molecules which are a target species. And then out of this molecule, there is a signal which is induced either in the form of current or electronic movement or density, mass, or temperature. So various properties, they can be changed due to this interaction. These are various applications. A large number of thousands of applications are there. I'm not going to be in that detail. And the reason for this change in the property of that molecule is, if we see from the chemistry point of view, a sort of idea of acid-base interactions are taking place, changes are taking place. So basically, in a chemical sensor, there are two components. One is the receptor part. That is what I'm saying is the molecule, receptor molecule, which is generally an organic compound, and this is responsible for creating that interaction, chemical interaction with the target species. And transducer is a general term given to the electronic component, which measures, which transforms the signal, or you say the chemical information, into the electrical or mass information or temperature information. So this is how we look at it. There are various types of receptors which are commonly used are these big molecules. These are called macromolecules, and they are designed in a particular way so that they can attract the target species, and in fact the size and the heteroatoms are chosen very selectively and very, you can say, with a focus that they are designed to attract a target species, nothing else other than that. So different designs of molecules are there, and organic chemists have done a wonderful work in this area. A large number of thousands of such molecules have been developed, and then we use those molecules as analytical chemists to apply it as a chemical sensor. Then the transducers, as I just told you, optical, electrochemical, it can be electrical devices, mass sensitive devices, or thermometric devices. So there are various, you can see the large number of options available among the optical devices as such, and electrochemical and electrical and all that. But we focus our work only in the electrochemical devices, and the images you are seeing are the benchtop images of the two systems that I have been using. This is Gamry instrument, which is potentiostat, and we do voltammetry on this instrument. Similarly, on the left hand side, there is a metro ohm analytic metro ohm system, which is used for measuring the voltammogram or recording the voltammograms. Now, voltammetry, I'll just very briefly explain that it is a study which is a measurement of current as a function of applied potential. So, when we say that we vary the applied potential across some electrodes, then it means that the electrons should have a special feature that they should be able to accept that applied potential, which is normally not the case. So in a potentiometer and a glass electrode, if you apply some different potential, it will not acquire the same potential. But the electrodes are modified in such a way, like they are modified as a micro electrodes, like, so that they can acquire the applied potential. Hence, we need to understand that these are polarizable electrodes, and these electrodes are used as working electrodes, and then the potential is applied across these electrode with the reference electrode and the working electrode in place. Then we need to carry out some oxidation reduction reaction in the solution or in the electrochemical cell. So once this is there, then the equation which is controlling the development of current as a function of applied potential, it is based on Nernst equation. And Nernst equation is so important always whenever we talk about electrochemistry. There will you will find the reference of the Nernst equation always. The reason is very clear and very important also, that this is the only relation where which relates this EMF or potential with the ratio of concentrations. So the reaction is taking place in the solution, but that reaction leads to the decrease in concentration of oxidizable species and increasing the concentration of reducible species, or the vice versa. So these change in concentration is related with the EMF with the help of this equation only. Then these are some advantages which I have just already mentioned. Cyclic voltammetry is one of the voltammetric techniques where the mode of application of the applied potential is a little different, and you can say the customized potential is applied. Like you increase the potential, or you make the potential to change from say between point 0.2 volt to say zero point 0.8 volt, and then reverse the direction of the applied potential from zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.2. So during the process of this change of the potential, which is in the forward direction or in the reverse direction, then the products at the surface of the electrode, they now become reactants, and then they undergo we are expected the reverse trends of current versus potential curves. So that is why you can see the half of the graph is in the forward direction, having its peak on the upper side, and then the second half of the curve is having peak in the reverse direction or the downward side. There are so many things which I'm skipping because I know there is always a limitation of time, and the type of cell which we use here in voltammetry is a voltammetric cell with a 3-axis system. This is beautiful customization of the electrochemical cell. Normally we know that in any electrochemical cell, there can be only two cells, which are one is cathode and one is anode. But from where comes the third electrode? How can there be a third terminal? In fact, this is a counter electrode, which is usually made to make the process of current flow simpler and efficient. The potential is always electrode and reference electrode. So this potential this counter electrode is on the same terminal as that of reference electrode, and there is a potential difference applied across the electrode and the reference electrode, and automatically the counter electrode uptakes potential. So applied. This is also a mechanism to facilitate the efficient flow of current. And analyte is the reducible species or oxidizable species present. Means the analyte is the target species. So this is the shape of the voltammetric cell. Then I'll moving forward to some my work which we have done. My students have done it, and my collaborator synthesized this compound, and this is a very important compound we got. And this the reason for its importance is that its performance as a chemical sensor was excellent, and we could do a good quality work on this compound. The beauty of this compound is that this is triphenyl ether based derivative. So here you can see the rigidity is provided by the phenyl rings in this molecule. For the host guest interaction, we need a certain environment in the interaction place, like the the receptor compound needs to orient itself in certain say shape and size, so that it can combine with the target species. So there should be a limited rigidity which is provided by the phenyl rings, the flexibility, that it should be not very rigid, it should be some part of the molecule should also be having some flexibility in it, and that is provided by the ether linkages. Where X is there, we have the ether linkages O here, which provides flexibility to this molecule. The naphthalene provides fixed size, cavity size. These are so uh, placed the pseudo cavity environment which is created in this molecule is just fitting to the target species. This is so specially designed structure, and there is not much of flexibility, and so this is a very deep technology of designing the molecule so that they can work as receptors. Then this is the same structure, which is uh, triphenyl ether amine, and this has been synthesized by our collaborator and my student also, that they have reduced this imine bond to amine bond, and this molecule TPEA could be used as a receptor, but we had limited application of TPEA. We tried work on TPEI also, but it was not so selective. But we then transformed it to TPEA, and we could get much better results. So here you can see the voltammetric response of TPEA, which is the amine derivative of triphenyl ether, and the curve which you are seeing from A and B, these are the differential pulse voltammetry DPV structures, DPV voltammograms. Here, if you see the black curve, you see a number, three peaks are there. Then, when it comes in contact with the target and this indicates that the cyanide has been captured by the receptor, resulting in the shift of the maxima, peak maximas, and merging of the peak maximas to one maxima at 1.28. Similarly, the second part is the anodic part, and which is the second half of the applied potential. Like in the forward direction and the reverse direction, we apply potentials. So this is the curve which we obtained, the black one, when the potential was increasing, and when we got the weak black curve when the potential was receding, coming back to the original value. But in case of cyanide presence, these both of these curves, they showed merging of the peaks, and that we got it followed up with quantitatively, so that we can see if it can detect cyanide quantitatively as such. The same work was followed by spectrophotometric measurements as well, and we carried out the UV visible spectra on that. You can see that the curves here, different colored curves, are the UV spectra of TPEA, and when we introduce the cyanide into that solution of TPEA, then we got the black curve. You can see the merging of these two peaks into one peak in case of TPEA. And when we carried out the same study using fluorescence spectra, then also very clearly, very sound maxima we got in the spectrophlorimeter studies in presence of cyanide. But you can see very beautifully that presence of all other anions, they did not change any change in the curves of the uh, this fluorimetry. Then it is the quantitative work. We carried out the same study by varying the concentration of the cyanide. Here you can see as we kept on increasing the concentration of the cyanide ion, then the peak maxima that went on increasing, and when we plotted it, we got a linear curve. So there is a linear behavior response of the receptor we was obtained for successive additions of the cyanide ion, and this can be used for various analytical applications. So this shows the lower one D curve, D graph shows the competing ions, they do not interfere, and there is only the cyanide ion which makes the difference. Then the mechanism we proposed, and it is now a published work, that this is the molecule TPEA. When we introduced the cyanide into it, then it undergo deprotonation process. So these protons of the hydroxyl groups, they were captured by the cyanide, and it went off as a gas of HCN. So it took away the hydrogen, or the, you can say, the process of deprotonation, and then uh, there was subsequent intermolecular charge transfer to accommodate electronegative charge onto it, and then we got the stable molecule as Ni. The work was carried out theoretically also, just to see that is it possible that we get energetically favored reaction as we proceed with the addition of cyanide. Then the difference in the homolumo was there, that earlier, before the presence of cyanide, it was 0.355 arbitrary units, but when cyanide was introduced, the homolumo difference was reduced, so that it leads to stabilization of energy. Then we used it as a probe for water sensing. It is very interesting to see that suddenly we found that the medium which we used was earlier acetonitrile, pure acetonitrile, but you can see it is the black car. It is with 0% cyanide. Sorry, this should be water, in fact. And when we introduced in the medium the water into it, then this value kept on decreasing. And there is another curve which is obtained on the lower lambda value. And there, this water also, because quantitatively the water was sensed by this technique, and we can use this molecule as a water sensing technique as well. So this is a strip test where we simply dipped the uh, filter paper strip into a receptor, and then the same was introduced into the cyanide. You can see there is a visible change in color, and when we further changed it in dipped it into water containing acetonitrile, then the color further changed. So visibly naked eye detection can also be done using this molecule. So this is all about our small work which I have presented, because the time allotted was 25 minutes. I think I must have taken that much of time. And the detection limit is important here to inform you that this technique uh, can be used for detection limit of zero point 0.4 micromolar. So there are no interferences. It is validated on real life samples also. We have found cyanide among some almonds and cassava roots also, and we were successfully able to detect the cyanide in these articles. Uh, this is once again the same thing, and I must acknowledge the contributors to this work, Dr. Mohan Shibard, who was my colleague at Thapar, and he helped in synthesizing the molecule. All the synthesis was done under his guidance. Shivali Gupta did this work, and now she is a lecturer. She has already completed a PhD. I'm thankful to Director TIT for allowing this work to happen on Thapar campus. My colleagues and friends at Thapar and the Punjab government for supporting me to attend this conference. So thank you all for your kind attention. I will be happy to answer any question. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful talk. I now hand over the proceedings to Professor Naveen Singhal. Over to you, sir. Can we have Professor Naveen Singhal added to the screen? Can we have Professor Naveen added to the screen, please?
मैं screen हाँ
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir. We would like to hear your feedback on sir's delivery.
hello, good morning to all of you. First of all, I will congratulate all the organizers and especially Dr. Nirankar for organizing this event and inviting me for this conference. And Dr. Mittal, I have heard your lecture I am very much fond of you.
Thank you
You
so
are a
much.
great scientist, and
It's my
basically, I have also done this work in IIT Roorkee, voltameter on voltammetry, and
okay.
with Dr.
Okay.
Goel. So
Dr.
basically, the
Aran Goel.
voltammetry, yes, Dr. Aaron Goel is working on this topic title voltammetry and cyclic
Yeah.
voltammetry. So I have also done this work, and this is a very good work for the student who are starting their research work basically. And you have also explained the work on cyanide, and I am congratulating you for doing this fantastic work. And again, I will see, one thing is that if you will, the student, those who are listening in this conference, if you want
Thank
to
you, sir.
analyze a micro analysis, suppose if you determine a drug or some other component of a material at a micro level, then this technique is very useful. Voltammetry and cyclic voltammetry is very useful technique in estimation of the compound and at micro level. And I congratulate especially to Mittal sir and the whole team who have done this work in a very good way. And sir, I hope you will bless this conference with your motivational lecture also in the concluding
Sure,
ceremony.
sure, sure.
And thank you to all of you. And any question want to ask from our honorable speaker, Dr. Sushil Mittal, may please be asked. The session is open for 5 minutes for the questions. Dr. Nirankar, if any question from the expert, then may please be discussed.
I repeat, if among the audiences, if we have anybody who'd like to ask the question from Mr. Sushil Mittal on the topic that was discussed, you can put it in the comment section and we'd be able to cater it via that.
I think, Maimaji, there will be no question from any audience, any side. So you can proceed for the next.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much,
Uh,
sir, Dr. Naveen and Dr. Sushil for joining in.
Mahima, I would say a few words here that I want to wish this
Please,
conference
sir.
to be
Yes.
successful, and I'm very happy that the university is doing great work under the leadership of Dr. Hari Sharma and Dr. Nirankar, and I have been associated with them for a very long time. And there are so many faculty members we have been interacting with at this MMU, and I wish you all the best. You are doing a great work. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. We are indeed honored. So let me now take this opportunity to, and we would now proceed to our keynote discussion too. Let us now collect the fruits of knowledge from our very own eminent speaker too, and the preceding session chair who have joined us today and made time from their packed schedules and have kindly consented to preside over this discussion. Let me quickly introduce you all with our dignitaries of discussion too. The keynote speaker for this session is Professor Eric, currently serving as full professor at Institut de Physique des Globes de Paris, University of Paris, France. Post his doctorate degree, Professor Eric was a Marie Curie postdoctoral fellow at the Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. In the year 2012, Professor Eric was awarded habilitation qualification in environmental sciences from University Paris, that is France. Later, Sir worked at the IHE Delft Institute for Water Education as chair professor in environmental science and technology and head of the pollution prevention and resource recovery chair group. Professor Eric G. Van has published more than 267 peer reviewed papers 9,900 plus citations, Index 53 in the field of biogeochemistry of metals and metalloids in engineered ecosystems. The session chair for this session is Professor Anil Kumar Sharma, Head Department of Biotechnology at University Mulana. Sir worked as a senior research scientist and a postdoc fellow in the Micro and Immunology Department at UIC Chicago, USA. He also worked with Ranbaxy Research Laboratories as a research scientist, where he explored the antimicrobial drug resistant mechanism by looking into various efflux pump inhibitors in bacteria. He has published 8 books for prestigious publishers, including Springer Nature Publishers, Pan Stamford Publishers, and Nova. He has mentored several MSc and PhD students at national and international levels and published 165 research papers in high impact journals. He is the recipient of Bharat Excellence Award for Research in the year 2013, University of Illinois Chicago Appreciation Award 2008, MGIMS Young Scientist Award 2000, International Research Excellence Award 2022, Outstanding Scientist Award 2021, Eminent Biotechnologist Award 2020, Asian Biological Research Foundation Fellow Award 2020, World Research Association Fellow Award, FSLI Distinguished Scientist Award 2020, Abdul Kalam Azad Award 2018, Eminent Scientist Award 2017 and 2018, Appreciation Award 2008 for the outstanding contribution to science by University of Illinois at Chicago, and the list just goes endless. Let us now hear Professor Eric. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. I'm going to share my screen now. So let me see. Do you see my screen?
So far, no, sir. Probably yes. Yes, we are able to see it now.
Okay, great. So let me get rid of this. So good morning, everyone, and I would like to thank again the organizing committee of this international conference on recent events in applied science. So the title of my presentation is today Biotechnologies for Circular Economy, and I would like to address today how we can selectively recover critical elements from secondary resources. So as it was initially mentioned, I'm a full professor at the Earth Physics Institute in Paris, and I do work in the team which is dedicating the activity to biogeochemistry, which is mostly related to elements and emerging contaminants. So the content of my presentation is starting from the context of the talk. Then I will introduce what is about technology critical elements. I will have a strong focus on electronic waste. And then I will move to the recovery, and then I will be mentioning mostly about biohydrometallurgy and how we can recover these TCEs from electronic waste. And I will conclude with a take-home message. So what we know about the WE is waste for waste electrical and electronic equipment. We know that in 2021, the world production of electronic waste was estimated to be 57 million tons. In Europe, this was expected to be 12.3 million tons in 2020. And from the latest statistics, we know that electronic waste is still poorly collected and recycled. In EU, we are currently collecting 48.5%, and that was the latest statistics I could collect from the Eurostat. So if we look at electronic waste, it is on one hand a risk, and on the other hand an opportunity. So if we look at the risk, we know that this electronic waste, if they are not properly disposed and collected, they are generating environmental and public health risk, and especially because this waste contains toxic substances, and we have the potentially toxic metals such as lead and chromium. We have also organic compounds such as chlorofluorocarbons and bromated flame retardants. And in low and middle income countries, these electronic wastes are usually incinerated open air, which generate toxic fumes, especially the production of dioxins. Also, on the other hand, we know that these electronic wastes contain quite high concentration of base and precious elements. So here you have a picture of a person which is doing informal e-waste recycling in China. So as you can see, the conditions are not very good. So as these electronic waste contain quite a significant level of precious critical metals and rare earth elements, in addition to the base metals, we may expect to gain some value out of it. And this is a saying that a quote that I took from a website. It was saying that if we could recover all the gold that is in the world e-waste, we could get about 11% of the total gold mined worldwide every year. Of course, I will not focus too much on gold, but I will be focusing more on technology critical elements. And these technology critical elements are platinum groups elements, reverse elements, and here we have a bunch of elements like gallium, germanium, indium, and so on. So those elements are listed in the critical raw material list, and this critical material list has been updated recently by the European Union. And here you have a figure which is showing you the supply risk as function of the economic importance of every elements. And all elements which are located here in that part of the figure are considered to be elements which are economically very important for the European Union, but also that will face supply risk, meaning that we don't have mines in Europe and we should import them from different countries. And these are the technology critical elements that I have mentioned previously. So where are these technology critical elements and what are the concentration? So if I look at this figure, you can see here that we have printed circuit boards. So printed circuit boards contains copper, zinc, palladium, gold, antimony, and so on. The displays are also containing other elements such as yttrium, indium, and gallium. And then if you would look at these drives, you have also here titanium. You have also some rare earth elements which are also there. And then the letter says you what could be the concentration range that we can find in this element. So how do we recover these technology critical elements? So this is a general scheme showing you how we are able to recover the TCE from electronic waste. So e-waste are first of all collected, then manually dismantled, especially when there is a lithium-ion battery. Then it goes to shredding, and after shredding, there is a physical separation when you can recover ferrous fraction, non-metallic fractions. And then here you have also coatings that are also removed. Then in the end, we are collecting here non-ferrous metallic fractions, and this fraction may go through different processes. So starting from pyrometallurgy or hydrometallurgy or biohydrometallurgy. And in the end, you expect to recover the elements that you're looking for. Of course, all these technologies are developed at different technology readiness level. And if I speak about pyrometallurgy, this is full scale operated, so TRL 9. If I look at hydrometallurgy, we are at TRL 7-8, and if I speak about biogeometallurgy, we are around TRL 3 to 4. So I will mostly focus on biohydrometallurgy. The biohydrometallurgy is a two-step process, which first deal with the leaching of TCEs from electronic waste, and then after leaching, there is a second step which is dedicated to the recovery. So what is biohydrometallurgy? So biohydrometallurgy is the use of microbes which are involved in the bio-leaching of metals from secondary resources. It could be also mine ores, and which will generate a metal-rich water solution. This metal-rich water solution will be then processed, still with the contribution of microorganisms. And in the end, what you want is to recover selectively metals and make sure that water is going to be cleaned, so somehow treated and be discharged in the environment, or potentially reused for another cycle of leaching and recovery. So here is a figure showing you what are currently the application of biogeometallurgy. It is pretty well implemented at the industrial scale for primary ores, especially for polymetallic sulfide ores. Also looking for recovering refractory gold ore as well. And this is at the industrial scale. However, when you look at the secondary resources, these processes are still running at laboratory scales. And for instance, electronic waste is one of them, but there are many other secondary waste streams, such as spent batteries, fly ashes, also spent catalyst, red mud, like bauxite residues. So there are many experiments or research going on in the lab at the moment. So what are the pros and cons of this approach? So what we know is that biogeometallurgy does not use harsh chemical. It can be implemented on waste and secondary waste and or mine ores, which contains very low concentration of metals. The cons is that this is a slow process, at least much slower than hydrometallurgical processes, which use chemicals. And in the end, you still produce some chemicals because you may generate, in some cases, sulfuric acid, which is still there. And in the end, you still have waste leftovers, so which is still a problem. So you still need to handle the left waste, the left waste at the end of the process. So how does it work? So first of all, I will focus on the bioleaching. And we know that the bioleaching takes place through three different mechanisms: redoxolysis, acidolysis, and complexolysis. So I will illustrate these three mechanisms. First of all, the redoxolysis, which is mostly based on the solubilization of metals, and this solubilization of metals takes place through electron transfer from the minerals to the microbes. And this is going to take place in two conditions: either direct leaching, either in indirect leaching. And so if I look at the direct leaching, this is an example where you have here a metal sulfide, so, which is chalcopyrite. So chalcopyrite in contact with microorganisms will be oxidized. So that will be leading to the oxidation of sulfide into sulfate and elemental sulfur. And also at the same time, when you do that, you are solubilizing copper and iron too. And of course, these microorganisms needs some oxygen to be able to be active. The other approach is the indirect leaching, which is involving the use of iron. And in that case, iron, especially iron 3, will be used as a catalyst. So there will be an electron transfer from chalcopyrite to iron 3, which will be reduced in iron 2. And in the meantime, chalcopyrite will be solubilized. And of course, this reaction is catalyzed by the microorganisms, which are iron oxidizing microorganisms. So that's the first option. So there are many examples. That's an example here of this is the equation which is showing all these reactions is taking place. So you have here the first part of the that's the oxidation, and then when iron 3 is generated, it will be used for solubilizing chalcopyrite, and this in the end will lead to the release of copper that we want to recover. This was evidenced by research done by a scientist who has tested. So this was printed circuit board particles, which was separated from the microorganisms, and they were showing that iron 3 was going inside the dialysis bag where the printed circuit boards were contained, and then there iron 3 was in contact with the printed circuit board particles. We know that in this printed circuit boards, copper is at metallic state, so this is going to be reacted with iron, and in the end you will generate copper and iron 2. So, and this is also applicable to nickel and zinc. So, and then of course, when iron 2 is generated, it goes back to the bacterial cell side, where it will be again oxidized into iron 3. Another mechanism which is also involved is the acidolysis. So acidolysis is the proton-mediated dissolution of insoluble metal species into soluble species. This process happens when microorganisms are able to acidify their environments, and they are usually doing it by oxidizing elemental sulfur into sulfuric acid. And you can see here that sulfuric acid is strong acid, which generate acidic conditions in the medium. And metals in contact with sulfuric acid and oxygen will be dissolving to release metals sulfate and of course water molecule, which is generated from this reaction. So this is a process that could be very well catalyzed by acidic diabacillus dioxidants, which is well known to generate biogenic sulfuric acid. We also know that some microorganisms, especially fungi, are able to generate organic acids. And so these organic acids are also very well known to solubilize metals from waste. Another approach is the complexolysis. So complexolysis is the third process, which is taking advantage of chelation properties of some microbial metabolites. And for instance, Pseudomonas butida is able to produce extracellularly cyanide, so which is called biogenic cyanide, which is able to chelate gold, and then it will induce gold leaching from electronic waste. So this is an example. This is the equation showing all this process is working, and you see that cyanide is needed to solubilize gold from electronic waste. So I will show you an example in a minute. This is also possible to use other type of molecules, and especially siderophores. We know that siderophores are produced by different type of microorganisms, especially Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which can produce different molecules. And these molecules may be used to complex very important elements such as indium, gallium, and germanium. These are examples of siderophores produced, but there is more than 500 siderophores, type of siderophores produced by microorganisms, so they all have different complexing properties and so on. So this is an overall figure showing you how it is working. So this is the microbes, which are always in playing a central part in the game of biohydrometallurgy. So they are contributing to the redoxolysis, and you remember that the iron cycle is very much involved. Then comes the acidolysis, where they are generating biogenic sulfuric acid, and this helps to dissolve metallic elements. And then we have also the complexolysis, where organic acids might be generated, or you may have is also production of cyanide, and sometimes we have production of ionophores. So there are different options for solubilizing technology critical elements from different waste streams, and I'm going to illustrate this with some examples. I'm going to skip this part, but just quickly to show you that we have identified a bunch of microorganisms able to contribute to the leaching, from the archaeas going to bacteria, and also we have fungi which are also involved in this. So these are the microbes that we know. They are very well efficient, very efficient in performing bioleaching. So now let's have a look at examples. This is an example from a former PhD student of mine who worked on electronic waste treatment, and he has collected here a bunch of printed circuit boards. So this, of course, needs to be crushed to be valorized. So these are examples after crushing. This is a crushing machine, and you looked at scanning electron microscope picture. Of course, he performed some analysis to see what is the composition of the different particles. So once you have prepared, so this is called the shredding, you can separate the ferrous part, you can recover copper, you can recover aluminum, you can recover plastic. But during the shredding, there is also a huge amount of material which goes as a dust, and this is called the electronic shredding dust. And this has been investigated by Cesaro et al. In 2017. And they look at the shredding dust, and you can see here that there is quite some gold. There is also silver. There is quite some cerium. There is also europium. Here there is also a lot of lead, zinc, yttrium. So you have a bunch of elements that could be recovered from this material. A lot of copper as well. So what they did, they decided to go to a two-step bioleaching approach. So by taking this shredding dust, they are been mixing this shredding dust with acidithiobacillus dioxidants, which is mostly relying on the acidolysis approach. And this acidolysis approach allows to solubilize rare earth elements and copper. And then the second step, when we are recovering the residues, this residues is going to be mixed with Pseudomonas putida, and we know that this strain is able to generate biogenic cyanide, and then from there you are able to solubilize precious metals such as gold. So this is the example. They have tested different pulp density, and by testing different pulp density, they investigated the effect on pH. Of course, when you increase the pulp density, pH increases a lot. So this is for the first bioleaching step, and then it goes also change a little bit also the oxidation reduction potential. So if it is going to be very high pulp density, it will change a lot the conditions. So how does it affect the leaching? If I look at a couple of elements, this is aluminum, copper, rare earth elements, and iron. And you can see that for the lowest pulp density, you are reaching the maximum efficiency, especially with aluminum, iron, and the rare earth elements. We are a bit less efficient with copper. And then if you increase the pulp density, you see that the efficiency is decreasing. But still, you can expect to reach 100% extraction efficiency for most of the elements that you are targeting. So this is a table which is showing you a little bit what I showed you before. And just to show that lead, silver, gold, and palladium were not extracted by the acidolysis approach. So that means that we have to move to the second step, which is the second bioleaching step, which is using Pseudomonas putida and produce biogenic cyanide. And what has been done here is an example of gold extraction. So this is a biological leaching. This is the pH of the solution, and this is the amount of gold which has been leached over time. And this is, of course, here expressed in hours. And you can see that we can go up to 50% leaching, but then we have a decrease in the concentration because the complex is not so well um, stable. Of course, here we don't have silver and palladium extraction before, so that's another aspect. And this is in parallel the same extraction, but with chemical cyanide, and you can see that we can reach up to 60-65% leaching with this approach. So just to compare the chemical and biological approaches. So to sum up, the acidic leaching show very high base metals and reverse elements mobilization in 8 days. But of course, in parallel, you had very high iron concentration. And when we move to the gold leaching by cyanogenic bacteria, we got about 50% gold mobilization in 3 hours. So once you have generated what we call the PLS, pregnant leaching solution, you have to recover the elements. Again, you can rely on microorganisms that can help you to recover selectively the elements that you are targeting. So there are different options. So you can rely on biosorption, which may eventually lead to bioreduction. You can rely on bioprecipitation, or you can rely on bioaccumulation. So I will give examples of these different cases. So the first example is the biosorption. So this is an example from Parks and colleagues who published a paper in 2020 where they have been manipulating the genome of E. coli, and by manipulating the genome, they have find a way to insert a gene which will be able to produce what is called lanthanide binding tags, which are amino acids which are going to be expressed at the surface of the E. coli. So by doing so, what they did, they first took e-waste that has been leached at pH 5, and from the leachate, they have been mixing the microorganisms together with the pregnant leaching solution. And what has been sorbed here on the surface of the tags is mostly reverse elements. So the idea is to recover reverse elements, and here you see that mostly reverse elements are going to associate with the tags. Then you are separating the biomass from the liquid. Then you can get rid of iron, aluminum, and copper. You can also get rid of calcium and magnesium. And then you are recovering the biomass. You are washing the biomass at pH 2.5. And here you have a very rich solution, which is containing, so just to remove these elements. And then we are moving to the E. coli, which mostly contains the reverse elements. So here you are using citrate, and citrate will desorb reverse elements from the cell, and then it goes to the cell which is now deprived. So you can go for another cycle like this, and here you can make sure you get a mixture of reverse elements, so concentrate. So that's a way to somehow selectively recover these elements. So the next step is the use of the bioreduction. So the bioreduction, this is an example with Cupria vides metallidurans, which is able to concentrate gold from a solution. And this is the example of the microbial cell. And the surface of the microbial cells, you can see here gold nanoparticles. So this microbe has the capability to reduce soluble gold into metallic gold, and this way you can recover gold from the PLS I mentioned to you before. And this has been also tested with desulfovibrio desulfuricants, where they have used gold and palladium, and they have been able to successfully recover gold and palladium from e-scrap leachates. And the last one is mostly related to bioprecipitation. So this is an example of pregnant leaching solutions from printed circuit boards, which contains very high concentration of copper, but also very high concentration of iron, aluminum, zinc. We have also high concentration of sulfate, chloride, nitrate, and this is the pH of the solution. So you see the pH is 1.05. The oxidation reduction potential is very oxidative, temperature 23, and conductivity here 56. So what we are going to perform here is metal sulfide precipitation because we want to get rid of iron. So this process is mostly taking place in a two-step approach. First of all, you are leaching the printed circuit board. So as you remember, we are using sulfuric acid. So when you get the leachate, then you can consider using sulfate, which is in solution, reducing sulfate into sulfide, and then sulfide may react with metals to generate metal sulfide precipitation. So you can rely on this two-step approach and then use most of the elements which are in the solution to perform a selective recovery of metal sulfide. So the selective recovery of metal sulfide is quite interesting because we know that sulfide is highly reactive with metals, which allow to reach a very low solubility of metal sulfide. So somehow you can recover almost 100% of the metals which is in solution. And by playing with the pH conditions, you may expect to recover selectively different elements. So this is just something that I'm going to show. Here I'm going to show you how the sulfide concentration is affecting the recovery of different elements. So if you use, for instance, in that case, the concentration of 1 milligram per liter of sulfide, you see that you are not removing much. However, when you increase this concentration, you see here a peak of copper. So copper will be one of the first elements that will be recovered, that will precipitate in the solution, and you can expect to recover selectively these elements over iron, aluminum, or zinc. And then, of course, when you increase the concentration, the other elements will start to precipitate. So by manipulating the concentration of sulfide at low pH conditions, you may expect to recover copper easily while you keep the other elements in solution. So the metal sulfide precipitation is a very interesting approach, and this has been already implemented at the industrial scale with a chemical process in Finland to recover nickel, cobalt, zinc, and copper. So just some take-home messages. So we know that base metals and rare earth elements could be leached by biogenic acids, and this is taking place through processes called acidolysis and redoxolysis. We know that precious elements such as gold could be leached by using biogenic cyanide, and this is going to take place through a complexolysis process. However, the selective recovery of technology critical elements still remain a challenge, but we know that biosorption as well as biomineralization have been implemented quite successfully at the lab scale, but then now we need to move to the demo scale and full scale approach, which will require additional studies. If you are interested in the topic, I would very much advise you to read two papers that I've published a few years ago. And this first one is about technological strategies for the recovery of valuables and critical elements. This is an open access paper, and if you are interested, don't hesitate to contact me. The other one is another paper which is mostly related to hydrometallurgy, but still quite interesting if you want to work in the sector of resource recovery from secondary waste streams, and this is again an open access paper. So I would like to thank you for your attention. I would like to also to thank the European Union and the French National Research Agency for funding our research and the cost action as well, which allowed me to get nice network of collaborators in Europe and allow to prepare all the papers and studies that I showed you today. So if you're interested in collaboration on bioleaching, biorecovery of technology-critical elements, don't hesitate to contact me. I would be very happy to exchange with you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Eric von Hollebosch. This is an excellent piece of work which you have presented, and you have expertise in this relevant area. You really deserve a special big round of applause from the audience,
Thank you very much.
from the researchers for the pioneer work in the area of this technology resource elements recovery. As we know that this WEEE is a challenge to the mankind, to the environment in this current era, in this new century. And on one hand, we always talk about uh, the biosolutions or microbial solutions of bioremediation of these uh, harmful elements, but we need to strike a balance actually. And also, we need to look for biosolutions to manage e waste more effectively and simultaneously to recover these metals, technology, resource critical elements uh, effectively at source so that they do not pollute the environment. So you have greatly emphasized on the bioleaching mechanism, which is an imperative actually for the waste electronics management. It is quite imperative, and uh, it is open to the audience for any questions to Professor Eric von Hollebusch. Uh, I would appreciate if audience have any questions. It is open to the audience. And before going to the audience, I would like to have a basic query from Professor Eric. Sir, are there any challenges, uh, especially in recovery of these TCEs, uh, especially through bioleaching, which you have highlighted in your talk? So, are there currently some challenges, and are there some issues which we need to deal with? Because during this process, we always happen to have secondary pollutants also in the environment
Yeah.
during this process.
Yeah.
So, what would be your recommendations for all of us, especially through this bioleaching process, and what are the challenges we need to address in the future?
Yeah. So what I'm facing currently is that iron is one element which is very much appreciated to leach the different elements from these e-waste streams. However, iron is present in the pregnant leaching solution, and iron is always making a big issues, is interfering very much in the selective recovery of elements. So one of the challenge at the moment is to find new solutions which would not use very high concentration of iron and which would allow us to generate pregnant leaching solutions with much simpler matrix composition, which would help us then to which would facilitate the selective recovery of the elements that we need to produce the next generation of electronic devices. And so that's one big challenge that we are facing. And the other challenge actually is not really on the technology; it's more on the collection of the electronic waste. and the transport to the right facility to recycle. At the moment, we know that a huge um, amount of this e-waste goes to low and middle income countries where this waste is poorly or not managed at all. And if you would go to Africa, you would find some places where uh, there is landfills of e-waste and nothing is done there. So it's a big issue for the environment and the people living over there. So it's very important that we are working very hard on the collection and somehow the reverse logistics of this material to make sure that it goes to uh, uh, um, the right process to be recycled. And of course, we are still not able to recover 100% of the elements which are contained in the electronic waste. So somehow we are losing a significant amount of some elements that will never go back to as a primary material for producing new devices. So in this circular economy approach, we are still failing to recover 100% of these elements. So at some points, we are losing a part of it, which goes anyway in the environment at some point. So that's also a big challenge.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Holebush. And sir, another aspect which I would like to ask about is the about the field scale studies. Are there any concrete field scale studies on which we can rely upon that this technology is going to be the future, especially for the sustainable solutions, especially for the resource recovery of these elements? So, would you like to emphasize on this also, this
Yeah,
aspect?
yeah. Well, I think there is hope in this technology because one of the main barrier that we had to face so far is the poor financial sustainability of this approach. Because if you go on the market and you look at the price of some elements, till very recently, it was too low, and it would not attract um, uh, investors to develop this technology. But nowadays, as you know, the geopolitical situation has changed a lot, and there are many of these technology critical elements that have a price that increase significantly. So to me, um, if the price increases that much, there is a hope for pushing this biological approach. And we know that this biological approach has a lower impact compared to pyrometallurgical approach or even hydrometallurgical approach on for some elements. So we may expect that this technology will somehow boom in the market at some point. And we know that for some elements it works already very well because for primary ores it works well for like through bio bleaching. There's also bio recovery approaches that are been already implemented. So there is, to me, options, but the main issue being mostly the perspectives from the financial viewpoint. As soon as we have solved that and investors are get a guarantee that they will get money back at some point, I believe there will be more funding. And we are working hard in Europe on that aspect. We have many EU projects that are meant for upscaling the process. So I believe in the next 10 to 20 years, there will be for sure full scale application of such processes. So I'm quite optimistic on this.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was really an excellent piece of work, as well as your efforts in this field is greatly appreciable. A
Thank you
big
very
round
much.
of applause for our speaker and expert, Professor Eric von Hullebusch. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very
And
much.
it is still open to questions from the audience. If anybody would like to ask questions, they may ask, or otherwise, we will depart. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank
Over
you.
to Mahima, Miss Mahima.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Professor Eric, for such an insightful talk. I am
Thank
sure
you.
there were so many people who learned a lot out of it. And thank you, Dr. Anil, for your words of wisdom. So we will now proceed towards our session three. Let us now collect the fruits of knowledge from our very own eminent speaker three and the preceding session chair, who have joined us today and made time from their packed schedules and have kindly consented to preside over this discussion. Let me quickly introduce you all with our dignitaries of our discussion three. The keynote speaker for this session is Dr. Kiran B. Manjupa, currently working as Assistant Professor, Graduate Program from Biomedical and Material Sciences, Tungai University, Taichung, Taiwan. Dr. Manjupa has also served as Research Assistant Professor in the Department of Chemistry, College of Science, Tungai University, Taiwan, and Manager R&D, Bioorganics and Materials Private Limited, Bangalore, India. He has postdoctoral experience from NTUST Taipei, Taiwan, and Indian Institute of Science, IIS, Bangalore, India. Sir is the recipient of a number of fellowships from Ministry of Science and Technology, Taiwan, and CSIR, India. The session chair for this session is Professor Deepak Pathania, presently working as Professor Chemistry and Dean Academic Affairs, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University, Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, India. He is also serving as the founder president of Him Science Congress Association, Himachal Pradesh Scientific Society. He has completed his Doctor of Science DSc from Janpur University, Janpur. He is also working as the conveners of different committees. He is the member of the Academic Council and Board of Studies of different universities. Sir holds over 22 plus years of teaching and research experience. Sir started his teaching career in the year 2002 from National Institute of Technology, Jalandhar, Punjab. He has completed many research projects funded by funding agencies such as UDC and DST. He is a member of different professional scientific societies. Professor Patania has guided 16 PhD and 14 MPhil and 40 MSc research projects for their respective degrees. Let us now hear Dr. Kiran B. Manjupa. Over to you, sir.
Hello, good morning, all. So my name is Kiran. Already, the Mahima has introduced me, and nice meeting you. Hello, Professor, Dr. Deepak. It's nice
Yeah,
meeting
hello.
you here. Actually, to be frank, this is my very first online conference. I don't know what is the mode of the online conference, because from last 2 years I'm not able to travel anywhere in the world to give a conference. So my one of my friend has asked, would you like to have this type of online conference? So I thought, okay, so I have a free time on that, I can do it. So it's always a great pleasure to give our talk and meet all the eminent personalities. So today I would like to present, I would like to share my, I cannot, slides. Yeah, just sorry, just a few minutes.
Dr. Kiran, can you share your PPT with the organizers so that they will display it from their side?
Okay. No, I can see here, but I cannot see in the share.
Yeah, it's not visible. Yes. Yeah, it's okay now. Fine. Now it is visible.
Okay, let me check. Yeah. So today my talk is about the coumarin-based functional molecules. So I am basically I'm a organic chemist synthesis. So I like to prepare small molecules and try to find their functional properties. Myself, Dr. Kiran B. Manjappa, working in a graduate program for biomedical and material science in Tonghai University, located in Taichung, Taiwan. So So, coumarin and its origin. So, in a day-to-day life, we consume many fruits. Even we use a lot of curries, and some people smoke, and also we use a lot of the body spray and these things. So, in all these cases, we will be having a very special odor of perfumes, and all these are composed of many. Small molecules. Out of that, there is a one molecule is called coumarin. So everybody must have seen that. What is coumarin? And so, what is its structural composition? So, structural composition is about the. It has a benzene ring. Uh, can I? I cannot have any animations here, Professor.
It is fine. It is fine. Okay, sir.
Oh, okay. Because I had a lot of animations over here. Yeah, it's fine.
It is
So
fine.
this is the coumarin molecules. It composes usually the benzene ring and also have a alkene and also a ester group. It's a very simple organic molecules. And other topic is that what is functional molecules are a materials. So usually these are the molecules which are having or created for a special purpose of activity or applications, or if you want to do something else, it's a task oriented molecules. And usually these molecules are quite practical and useful. So those type of molecules we usually call functional molecules. So most popular functional properties, what? So they are having a fluorescence functional properties, or also these molecules can show a very different absorbance, or popularly we called as a optical properties, and also aggregation induced emissions, and also various chromisms, and also gylations. These are all the basic concepts of the or fundamental features of a functional properties of any molecules. So then again, we can talk about the smart molecules. Nowadays, we are using a smartwatch, we are using a smartphones and smart systems, and also now the smart cities. So what is a smart? Smart is that it's a useful behavior of any component, and we design such useful behavior according to our needs. So here I'm talking about that we want to change a different color by using a external stimuli. External stimuli could be like a if if there is, for example, if there is a molecules or if there is a system, and if you shine a light, it changes its color upon the intensity of a light. So that will be like called as like a photochromism. And if there is a system, you put a pressure, it changes a color. It's called physochromism. And there will be a change in the solvent. So from polar to non-polar, again the color will change. That is called solvatochromism. And also like a acidic, basic, or a neutral, again the color will change. So these color are depend on the stimuli, external stimuli. So these system also come under in the field of the smart molecules. Okay, another component is that what are multi-component reactions? Why I'm talking all these things is that my topic is exactly matching and incorporated all these. So multi-component reaction is that you are just cooking a 3 or 4 different or 2 different or different sets of the components and making into a new entity. You can use like a 3 components, and using a different conditions, we can get a different sets of combination. And depends on the conditions, and it depends on the transition state or intermediate, the nature of the compound, structure of the compounds will all changes. But why we call it like a multi-component? Because the rate of the, sorry, the nature of the reaction can be fine-tuned. So this is a popular methodology to create a new library of a molecules. Then, my research in Tonghai University is mainly to prepare the coumarin derivatives using an multi-component reaction strategy or one part. Why? Because I would like to study the photochemistry or a photochromism or a physiochromism or a sol gel properties. Also, we work the coumarin-based natural products, and especially we have some US patent about that. So right now, I'm not talking. I'm talking only about the photochemistry and photochromisms. These of the coumarin. So this is a very popular molecule. It's called 4-hydroxycoumarin, but at the 7th position, it has a NN-dimethyl. So with this, using this as a basic component, we are going to use, making a different components for the new to generate a new library. So the basis is that 4-hydroxycoumarin we have here. So previously we have demonstrated its CH functionalization of a cyclic amines. We have published those papers. Also, we have used this coumarin to make a new component for a fused diazepines. And also recently we have prepared a natural product. Using that, we have even published and have a US publications. But now I'm talking about that using a 4-hydroxycoumarin and the amine and the aldehydes with a different nitroethane or a nitromethane, we have synthesized beta inominon. So that we have published in 2018 in Chemistry Select. So this is the topic that I would like to talk about today's this one. Okay, so this 4-hydroxycoumarin we have used using a multi-component reactions to get a total synthesis. But now I'm talking about the functional molecules where the center part will be the beta inominons, which is a physiochromic, photoactive, and even the photochromic material. So what is the MCR scope? So the preparation of this beta inominons involve the diketone and an amine. It can be like a aliphatic or a aromatic and an aldehyde. So this has been reported in our previous report, and the product is called beta inominons, the coumarin-based beta inominons. This diketone can be a coumarin, dimidone, or even the cyclohexanone, and the amine can be aromatic, benzyl, or even the alkyl amines. And the aldehydes can be aromatic, aliphatic, or heterocyclic. It can be like a 6-membered or a 5-membered. So with this reaction, we have prepared more than 40 compounds. All the 40 compounds will come under like a 4 to 5 categories, and how we have going to distinguish with this and their functional properties will be the today's talk. So can these enaminones be a new avenue for a functional properties? Yes. So what you have to do is you have to do a structural fine tuning. You have to do a structural fine tuning. So if you change the NN-dimethyl functionality in a coumarin and the amine, it can be a physiochromic. The very first structure where it has a 4-hydroxycoumarin and the aniline and the benzaldehyde. The benzaldehyde is mentioned in a blue color. It's a rigid or a not sensitive either to a stress or a light. But if you change that benzaldehyde into a electron donating, can we find any changes? No, still the rigidity is the same. It's not even the sensitive. But in the case of the final structure at the right, if you introduce NN-dimethyl both on aromatic amine and the aromatic aldehyde, the functionality, the functional properties completely changes. It will be a sensitive the stress. Stress in the sense like you can put a pressure. So in this series, we have prepared quite a few compounds. Out of that, the compound has been marked in blocks 4G, 4H, and 4I and 4J are having a ability to change the color by upon the stress or upon the pressure. So remaining all the compounds are not activity. Means there is not much activity from them. So this physiochromic, you can see here in the very 4G compound, we have a phenyl ring with the N-dimethyl functionalities. Previously, it will be like a, before, initially it will be like a yellow color. After grinding, it becomes like a red. Then it's called fuming, means if you put a like a DCM fumes or a vapor, it can change us into the yellow color. Same with the O-methoxy, electron donating, or the bromo, or even the cyano. So all these compounds, upon the stress, they changes the color. And again, you put the solvent vapors on this, again they will retain their original color. So this is how it is showing an reversibility. Upon the stress changes a color, again it can reverse back by fuming the solvent. So we have done some surface morphology, but we did not go in detail. So the first, the black color XRD, it shows it has lot of sharp peaks. It means that the compound is in a very crystalline form. The red one is upon grinding. Upon grinding, that you don't see any smooth, sorry, any sharp peaks. All are subsided. Then after fuming, your compound will be like a, again it started to show the sharp color. It means that the crystalline property undergoes amorphous, then again it can be crystalline. So during this process, it is going to change the color. So this type of properties we call like a physiochromic. And we have done some SEM for that. So initially, before grinding, there was a the morphology was like a very sharp. Then after grinding, it was like amorphous. After fuming, again the morphology has become very, very sharp. So finally, what we can conclude is here, using this three component reactions, we can able to generate a variety of beta enaminones. Out of that, if you fine tune with the electron donating properties on the amine as well as the aromatic aldehyde, you can manipulate with the change. So this is our first functional properties of a beta enaminones. The second one is that, can you make these molecules into a photosensitive? Yes, if you make these compounds change the 4-hydroxycoumarine into a dimidone, these compounds can be a photosensitive. So we have synthesized, earlier I already told you that these beta enaminones having a aniline with the benzaldehyde, they are not sensitive either for a stress or a light. But if you change this into a aldehyde, into a like a 5-membered heterocyclic aldehydes, the whole molecules will become sensitive to the light. I will show you here. So this is a compound. X can be either any heterocyclic atom, and the beta enominone having attached with the aryl amine. So when this in a acetonitrile, if you irradiate continuously under UV light 354 nanometer, the ring opening of the dimidone is possible. So we have seen, we have checked its optical properties, and finally we come to know that the irradiation of a beta enamine can lead to the formation of a new molecular scaffold. It means the dimidone, the beta enaminones with the dimidones, they are so sensitive for the UV light irradiation. But we did not see any color change. But if you change this aniline into an alkyl amine, if you change this alkyl amine aryl amine into a alkyl amine, this is extremely sensitive even to the light. So for example, the last one, which is the beta enaminones having an alkyl chain, especially like a butyl chain. So initially, they are all colorless. When you irradiate for a 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, like that, the color changes. So it means that by changing an aromatic aldehyde into the heterocyclic aldehyde, the sensitivity from non-sensitive to the sensitivity towards the light is possible. If you want to fine tune its sensitivity, if you want to make it more sensitive, you can replace the aromatic amine into an alkyl amine. So even that will be showing a color change in the solution phase. So we have checked its absorbance. So when we initially there is no absorbance around the region of 450 to 600. It is a black here. Then after 2.3 minutes of irradiation UV, we can see a very big band, a very big band. But unfortunately, this is not reversible. So in the second picture, I can show you here that if you continue this, so this blue color absorbance, after irradiation, there will be a big hump. But after you keep it for like several days, this undergo a decrease in the intensity, and the red color, the absorbance band, will show a different entity. So it means that the UV irradiation really imparts the photophysical changes in a fine-tuned beta enaminones. Then, so I want to show you some pictures that how the color will changes. So when it will be like a always the aromatic components, when you change into a alkyl amine and the heterocyclic compounds, the color completely changes. So change in the molecular scaffold, so we'll show you the enhanced photosensitivity. So then, can these beta enamines can be a new avenue for functional molecules? Yes, if you change the heterocyclic aldehyde, keeping an benzyl amine, so they are still able to have a very sensitivity towards a light, especially the visible light. I show you here. So when we take this molecule, especially only the benzyl amine and the benzaldehyde, so upon UV irradiation, because there is a double bond between this coumarin and this amines, so it can undergo like a easy isomerization. So that is I have shown in the left side figure. Only the change in the broad shoulder around 380 to 400, there will be a significant increase in the shoulder, which is responsible for the easy isomerization. Even if you have a N-dimethyl at the coumarin side, that is completely rigid. Whatever, if you use 352 nanometer for 0 minute to the 30 minutes, there is no change in the absorption pattern. But when you change this aromatic aldehyde into especially thiophene or a 5-member change, so the color of the compound, when you irradiate in a 352 nanometer, it changes the color. And you irradiate this into a 582 nanometer, less intensity, like a more like a visible light, it comes back. It means that, so initially when you irradiate with the UV light, the compound will change as a color, and when you irradiate back into the visible light range, it will comes back. So this is a perfect example for a reversible reaction. And also we have explored its optical properties. So in the initially, when we irradiate the molecules with the 352 nanometer for 5 minutes interval, there will be an absorption around 500 to 600 nanometer. Then the same so this will be responsible for a compound having a pink color solution. Then this pink color solution again exposed to the 580 nanometer for like a different interval, 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 or 7. The band comes down. It means that there is a reversibility. So again, we have done this like a several time. So there is an very prominent reversibility. So another part is interesting that these molecules can also change in a color in a solid state. So we could able to develop these molecules into a fine crystalline single crystal. Then, so we irradiated these molecules with the blue LED for 3 minutes. Blue LED is a purely visible light. It undergoes color change, then it comes back. So this reversibility, change in a color from upon the UV irradiation or even the visible light irradiation and comes back. So we have done for like almost like a 25 cycles. The first cycle, you can see that the color change from yellow to bright red. Slowly, the colors is being faded. It's called photo bleaching. So we can expect that the reversibility with the gradual photo bleaching. At present, we are trying to find out what is the surface morphological changes when these molecules experience when we just irradiate only the blue LED. Blue LED is the like around 455 nanometer we have used it. So that blue LED is so weak that it cannot change, it cannot break the bond. So we are with the help of the experts in the Japan. So we are currently under taking care of these things. So morphological reversible changes at the surface might be the reason. Maybe the crystal packing changing or some morphological change. So in summary is that, so this type of beta enaminones with the benzyl amine and the thiophene aldehydes or a furan aldehydes, so can lead into a photochromic state where some of the molecules can show the reversibility, change in the color in solution state, like a 352 nanometer to comes back like a 582 nanometer. And some are shows the photochromism in the solid state. So this is the beauty of these molecules. By fine tuning a different parts, either the coumarin or even the aniline part or even the aldehyde, you can fine tune and you can explore their possibilities. Okay, so can we make them into a gelator? That's the question. Can we make them into a gelator? So we have prepared these molecules. I just wanted to make sure that whether these beta enaminones having can able to make a BF2 chelations. So these BF2 complexes, we try to make it for all the compounds, but especially the alkyl amine BF2 complexes have shown a very a remarkable gelation ability. Right now, we are also investigating that with our collaborator in the Japan. What is the cause for the long chain alkyl groups only shows upon the BF2 complexations the gelating properties. I will show you here. So initially, before gelation, this compound behaves exactly like a normal one. So after gelation with the BF3 iterate, so I could able to get the compound. But this complex, upon DCM and the hexane reaction solvent, try to become like a sol, like a slowly gel. Then after 30 to 40 minutes, it comes back. It means that it has having a metastate gelation properties. So initially, the solution, the BF2 complex is showing in like a very clear cut yellow solutions. Slowly, after 5 minutes, the gelation initiated. Then third one, you can see that the bottle is having started already gelated completely. Then after 10 minutes, even if you invert, this compound is completely gelated. Then when you remove the DCM or a hexane, so the compound again loses its gelating properties, become a solution. So from solution to gel, gel to solution, so it's like a process. So this is all depends on the percentage of the DCM and the hexane combination. So we believe that these long chain alkyl groups in the complexation invite the DCM and the hexane solvent molecules inside at a particular ratio. After that, once the particular ratio is broken, they are going to lose the gelatic properties. So we have also studied their morphology before gelation. So you can see here, this is very like a very short, but after gelation, you can see that the surface of a gel is quite smooth. So it's called weathered surface. So the sharp surface is in the form of only in the solid state. Then also we have checked its the intercalated the network. So it shows that it's the all these molecules are binded very well, and also the extent of cross linking is the main reason for this. So in this extent of cross linking, so we believe that the solvent molecules has been encapsulated and causing a gel. So this is also an unpublished result, but right now we are almost writing a manuscript for this, the special properties of the gel. So further, we have to do a more investigation to know that how to make these type of gels into a metastable component. So in summary is that you can prepare the beta enamines. We can write a lot of or we can prepare like a library. So these beta enamines upon the BF2 complexation, difluoroboronated beta enamines. So especially if you have a alkyl amine with the long chain, so the molecules can be a fluorescent and they can be a gel. So this shows that these beta enamines, which having a coumarin as a central part, it can be, if you manipulate all these chemical structure by coumarin into a dimidone or alkyl amine to a aryl amine or even the benzylamine, and a pure benzaldehyde into and 5-membered aldehydes, we can manipulate. So fine tuning a structural properties of any molecules always lead into a very interesting subject. So overall, my conclusion, I want to talk about this property is that the coumarin, they are very interesting set of molecules, and if you fine tune, if you know the properties, what exactly you are looking, that you can fine tune these structures. It can be like a physiochromic, or it can be like a photosensitive, or it can be like a photochromic, both solution and the solid. And also, if you want to make a like a BF2 complexation, so you can also establish an cross-linking gelation network. So what I mean to say is that any molecules, not only the coumarin, so it is always important to fine-tune the structure and exploit their functional properties. So these type of molecules we usually call as a smart material. Okay, before I conclude that, I should acknowledge for my College of Science, Tonghai University for the generous funding, and the Ministry of Technology for grant, and my colleagues and the lab members. So this is our like a 2 years back we have this is the group. So I have my the top boss, Professor Yang Dingya. So after that I will work. It's like a kind of Japanese system. So we have like a 4 or 5 master students and also few Indian students also working in our group. And so this is the Taiwan map. So this is where the Taichung city comes. This is the central part of the Taiwan. Yesterday only we had a like around 6.6 Richter scale of earthquake. So but luckily nothing has happened. It's fine. Also, this is the city where we live right now, and this is just downtown of Taichung. But more aboutly, this is about the our university, how it looks, and this is a very famous church we have. And this is the last the slide I want to show about our university, and this is the famous Taipei 101. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kiran,
Yeah.
for a very nice talk. And thanks for enlightening and enriching the knowledge of the students or researchers which are working in the field. You have nicely talked about the coumarines based functional materials and the derivatives, how the effect of different, for example, piezochromic effect properties, photo sensitivity of the materials, and how the color changed with pH, with pressure, with the time and other things.
Yeah.
So, and ultimately, you also explained about the beta in ammons, and you have synthesized the 40 more component derivatives related to the these humanines, and nicely explain how the things will change, how the property change with change of the various external things, for example, by light, by pH, and other things. So, thank you very much for sparing the times and enlightening the students on researcher
Yeah.
and we also about your study.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now this talk is open for the discussion and the queries. So before I would like to open this talk for the any questions. I have one queries, Dr. Kiran. My query is that what is the base, how or why you choose the coumarine as a constraint for the synthesis of the smart materials? Number one. Second is that what is the nature of the material which you have synthesized? And number three is the where you applied these materials after synthesis. What is the actual applications or application to a common man, or in which field you applied these materials?
Yes.
So, and fourth query is related to this is the have you studied the factor of temperature on the properties of the smart material? Because you're not mentioned about the temperature effect. You mentioned about the light, then pH, then other thing, but you're
So
not
yes.
mentioned about the temperature. So, please, Dr. Kiran.
Yeah, I will start the your last query first,
Yeah,
because that
okay.
is yes. I think few months back we just started, because temperature is also one of the stimuli responsive, external stimulus. We usually take a light or a pressure or a pH or even the solvent. Also a temperature. Temperature is also very good. So when we have studied all the four, so we left out the temperature. Now they are also thermochromic. They are also thermochromic. They are also thermochromic, but the whole structure will be same. But only you need to add some more like a high temperature resistant unit into their structure, so that really helps them to change. Especially, you can the temperature, if you go like a sub zero in a solvent, sub zero like a -40, the color will be completely like a red, completely red. And if you change the if you gradually increase the -40 to like around 20-25, it goes like a violet. That's it we have changed. But the solvent, we are using something like a acetonitrile and all, so we don't want to raise the temperature up to more than 60 degree, because it may the acetonitrile will slowly will evaporate and the concentration will changes. So right now we are trying to like a -40 to like a room temperature. So that is the window we are keeping. Yes. In one sentence, I want to say that these compounds are also, upon changing in a fine tuning in a particular amine, or as well as in the coumarin part, they are a thermochromic.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
the first question is that why we have used coumarin. Coumarin is like a, it's very interesting. I already told you that it has like a diketone properties. It can exist, depends on the reaction condition. It can exist either a like a enol or even the diketone. So by modifying the reaction condition, either you can use it for a nucleophilic attack or a electrophilic acceptors. So this is what we have done. But why never ever wanted to synthesize these beta iminones? Because these beta iminones are so far very well studied. They are very good herbicides. Agriculture in cases they are using, and if you make a metal complexes, they are also like an anti-cancer. So already it has been proved So we really don't want it to synthesize these beta inominos. It was like I wanted to do some. This is like a 5 years uh, story. So I wanted to do some other reactions. It has serendipitously we come across these molecules. The second question is that what applications we are right now looking into. So all these functional groups are they're almost like a 70 to 80% we have studied. What is the reason? So now only the applicability has been there. So we would like to use these photochromic properties into films. We want to make a films. We want to make a films, and whenever if you go outside, if you just have a like a hat, like not a glass, because glass we cannot use these molecules. So we want to make like a films, and like a polymer kind of films, and if you go put a hat and you can put it, so the color will change. Also we would like to make like a uv patches. So you can make a UV patch on put on your screen, because in Taiwan we have a high percentage of UV from the sunlight. We have a
Okay.
more sunburn. So whenever we keep UV patches, so we can see that if the color changes, oh, we can see, okay, now the UV index is very high. So we would like to make it. But at present, our lab is only equipped for making a synthesis and these properties. That's why we have collaborated with the Japan and as well as Poland. But because of this corona, so all the collaborations are quite sluggish and slow. Perhaps next year we can able to make all the manuscript ready for submission. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, this talk is open for any query or any question for the audience. Mahima,
Yes, sir.
is the audience available? Because there is
Yes,
no.
sir. So
Yes.
we have people watching us, but there are no comments so far. So maybe we'll proceed towards the conclusion of this session because we have our oral
Okay.
presentations after this. And
Okay.
that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dasha. Thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
Kiran.
yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kiran, for such an insightful talk. And thank you so much, Dr. Pathania, for your words of wisdom. Thank you, everyone, for your valuable inputs. These were such insightful pointers. I would now like to move towards the end of the conference today, and then we have our poster and oral presentations post this. So, I, Mahima Sindhi, would now like to conclude this purposeful and action packed conference. We have with us approximately 1,000 plus viewers who joined us today and have tuned with us since the commencement of this talk show. I, on behalf of the whole MMTU family, appreciate, acknowledge, and extend my gratitude to all the respected dignitaries, faculty members, and the students and each and every attendee who stayed till the end. Trust me, this wouldn't have been possible without your zeal and support to make this conference a reality. I would like to repeat that you will be getting a feedback come attendance form. I would request you all to fill that because that would act as your attendance, and basis that you will be given the certificates. We would now like to conclude the first day of ICRAAS 2022 on a high note, with a hope in mind to keep working on these advancements and serving back to the society. We shall proceed with the oral and poster presentations after the lunch break. Hoping to see you all tomorrow at the last day of this international conference. Officially signing off. Thank you so much, everybody.